This is October the 10th at 6 o'clock, and we're having dinner with Talia, a dinner sponsored by the Mainline Unitarian Church tonight. Go Phillies! Look at that hat. Wow. Dr. Marina Palant, who is organizing along with her daughter Talia and arranging all the wonderful food dishes that we have for tonight's. A picture of Talia's display and wonderful food. Hummus sandwiches with some wonderful goodies and raw pie, as well as the smoothies from our guru, Arnold.
I just want to welcome everybody here. It's a wonderful crowd. I'm just so pleased that you've all come to Mainline Unitarian Church. I just wanted to...
Many people showed up. It's incredible. I thought we'd be lucky if we got 10 people. So I want you to feel free to enjoy the food. If you have any questions, just let me know. And did anyone...
Can you hear me all the way in the back? Yeah. Good. I'm just going to throw my voice for you. My name is Miss Angie. I run a healthy, vegan, vegetarian, whole foods services where I make food for people who don't want to cook for themselves, show them a better way to eat the foods that they eat. I deal with diverse cultures, from Indian to Thai to African American, Italian. My goal is to show people that anything that you've eaten all your life that's bad, there's a better way to eat it. I work at Calcutta House. I'm a director of nutrition services. The criteria for being a resident there is you have to have full-blown AIDS. In short, I'll just give you the CNN version about that. When I started there 6 years ago, it was all canned foods, all cooked foods, things that were coming from food rescue places, no fresh fruits, no fresh vegetables, none of those things were going on. While everybody comes from a different culture there, I have since introduced them to raw foods. I've gotten them completely off of white products, which is the other crack, whether people know it or not, because it is such an addictive white powder, because you can ride through the drive-through, tell them you forgot your sugar in your coffee, and they'll give you 16 packs for free. Usually with crack, you gotta be a little more inventive to get it. So, and people don't realize it's easily accessible because it's in everything. But since we've gotten them on to all whole grain products, of course they're still eating meat and chicken and fish. It's a process for them, but what I do is I make sure that they eat top shelf. You know, I make sure that it's free range, they're not GMOs. I go through a lot of research to make sure what they're eating is good. How I get them turned on to things that are new is I have parties like this, because when you're at a party, you're more interested in seeing what everybody else is eating, rather than when I sit a plate of food in front of them. That's more of a commitment. So I have watched since I've been there. The first year I came there, we probably lost 3 or 4 residents. The second year, 2 nurses, 1 cook, some more residents. But since then, everybody is living vibrantly. And I really know that it is the diet. However, many people don't understand that nutrition is essential to life. And they think that, you know, medicine is going to help you with HIV, and it's more what you put in your mouth that's going to help you. So I'm going to start you on my journey, how I came to where I stand today as you see me. You know, at my most challenging time in my life, I was weighing 350 pounds, snorting cocaine, drinking liquor, smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, and the only place I wanted to go was further. My only ambition in life was to be well liked, and all I wanted to do was figure out how many different ways that I could hurt myself. Right? Took me many years. I didn't know what was going on. I was hiding. I was seeking out rushes and stimulant foods and anything to try to deaden the pain that I had inside. I had come through some trials in my life, as in everybody here probably has had a trial or tribulation, you know, that you have survived through. Everybody has a story. So, you know what? You can carry it through with your life, your whole life. You can always bring it, sit it in the middle of the floor before we move forward, or you can go back to where the pain began and begin to address it and start addressing the behavior when you're dealing with that pain. So, at that point in my life, when I was doing all of that, it was as if I was looking for love, but looking for it in all the wrong places. I wasn't learning how to love myself. I didn't even know what I wanted. All that I was carrying is what everybody else had told me about who I was, and I had bought into it and believed it. And therefore, when I went out and went to by myself, I had this empty feeling, and so I needed to fill that void. I began to fill that void with food. And then once you eat too much and you're all on stimulant food, now you're real high. So now you either got to match the high or you have to come down from the high. In most cases, I matched the high, then I would look for cocaine, I would look for alcohol, because the alcohol fed the sugar, you know? And then I just found myself coming in this vicious cycle. And meanwhile, while I'm in this vicious cycle, I'm gaining weight. And in that gaining weight, you know, what is your choice? You either have to convince yourself that what you're carrying is okay and everybody else is wrong, okay? Or, you know what? Either I'm a really sick individual and how am I going to do this? Or, let me go to the doctor and see how many pills you can give me so I can get rid of this in 2 days. Took me 10 years, but I can get rid of this in 2 days. Okay, so I was going through a whole bunch of psychological issues, emotional issues, struggling issues, and at my worst, when I realized that in order to make this life, I was going to have to make my life my living. And in order to do that, I had to go back to where that pain began. And I had to go back through my childhood and start taking a look at when I started buying into what everybody else thought about me, rather than the truth that I knew about myself. And I didn't need to know what my truth was necessarily at age 28. I needed to know where I was as a child, and I needed to bring that child out and coax her into come to meet the woman that she is now. And that was a process. And the process means that you got to get to know yourself. And in order to get to know yourself, you got to calm everything down so you can hear yourself. And see, we're in a society that we're hooked on stimulants. Everything is about a stimulant. You know, nicotine, caffeine, you know, alcohol, sugar. You know, in a can of sweet peas, you're adding sugar. You know, you put sugar on the tomatoes. Everything has got to be sweet. It's not big enough. It's not fast enough. It's not tall enough. It's not big. You know, it's like, okay. And yet, we live in God's country. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Have you seen anything that he's put in a handsome carrying package that you could even match? Have you ever, I mean, and they could be on the same tree and they're all different. They could come from the same source and they're all different, they all taste different. And each segment of it is particular. But yet we spend our whole lives about that, trying to break that down. Trying to get away from it, trying to sauce it, trying to salt it, trying to sugar it, trying to get away from eating it in its natural state. And yet we say we love food. Yeah, we say we love food. So I began to take a good look at my life, and I knew that if I hadn't changed anything, because see, I know that I'm an extremist. If it doesn't run at top speed, it doesn't run for me. So I had, you know, and if you can figure that out, that's a great step. If you can figure out if you're a basketball player or a ballerina, you are ahead of the game, okay? Because then you'll know what your tendencies are. And once you can figure out what that is, that's where you can begin to change. You can't change if you're not informed. You know what I'm saying? You usually are changing on everybody else's information and adapting it to yours. So I realized that how I was going, because like I said to you in the beginning of my statement, the only place I wanted to go was further. And I didn't necessarily at that stage of the game need company. Okay? Because my company I had was my food. I had drugs, I had alcohol,